powerful coast-to-coast storm heads east, but not before toppling trees and knocking out power across the northwest.
Crazy. You could hear things hitting the roof. You could hear things hitting on the side.
And all of a sudden, here she come on the neighbor's house.
Yet another atmospheric river is ready to strike, but this time is targeting Oregon.
We were just preparing for the worst.
Should Seattle area residents be worried more levees could fail in the coming days?
Multiple spots are what they're calling levees of concern.
A look back at a devastating tornado that struck 25 years ago this week.
Long term, you want to be better because of a bad situation.
And running gear that's reducing its impact on the environment.
From our nation's capital, this is the National Weather Desk.
Good morning and welcome to the National Weather Desk. I'm Angela Brown. Danger from a storm that left hundreds of thousands in the dark on Wednesday is now in the plains. Millions of people in the nation's midsection face high wind warnings, blizzard warnings, and winter weather alerts. It's all thanks to a fast-moving coast-to-coast storm that will move into the east later tomorrow. The storm is so strong, it knocked out power to hundreds of thousands of people and produced a 138-mile-per-hour wind gust on Oregon's Mount Hood. Those powerful winds were also felt in Idaho. Unfortunately, though, 2 kids are still in the hospital with critical injuries after the winds knocked down several rotten trees, which then knocked down power lines. That man lives in western Montana, where the winds took a similar toll on trees and power lines. We have more now on the impact of the winds in Oregon and Washington, starting with Tyler Cunnington.
If you live on Whidbey Island like Lori Ritter, you learn how to find your way around in the dark.
Crazy. You could hear things hitting the roof. You could hear things hitting on the side.
Because when severe winds rip through the island, whether you're a homeowner or a local restaurant serving as a hub for those facing outages, you just power through.
You know what? I wouldn't live anyplace else. I love it here. So, you know, you just have to roll with it.
At its peak, upwards of 250,000 customers were without power across western Washington. Nearly 100,000 of those with Puget Sound Energy.
Downed trees, downed wires throughout the neighborhood. A lot of people cleaning up today on the streets. And then you hear the generators kicking on.
And I saw a couple neighbors out here kind of looking at what was going on, and I looked at that and I was like, I tried to follow the line. I'm like, oh, that's our house.
Brandon Doyle waking up in his home of 11 years to this scene, unsure of how long his family will hear their generator cranking.
My guess it'll be a couple days at least, just based on the outage map from PSE.
We heard a loud crack, felt the tree hit the building, and heard it snap again and fall on the front.
1 in the morning, hitting the Portland metro area hard as the overnight windstorm knocked trees on cars and homes.
The roof came through on both sides, and they say that the back part where the first hit, it cracked the walls inside the unit.
In Aloha, something similar, but on a much smaller scale, happened to the Dunn family. This branch piercing through their roof and into their spare bedroom.
It's a pretty steep roof, pretty steep pitch, so getting a tarp up there, I don't know if I can do that myself.
Thankfully, no one was hurt in either scenario.
The same system led to a rare blizzard warning for the mountains surrounding Seattle. Up to 15 inches of snow is expected to fall. And as Claire Weber explains, residents and visitors say they need that snow.
A thin blanket of white starts to cover Snoqualmie Pass while the mountains continue facing low snow levels just days before the start of winter.
Usually we got at least a foot or two coming and building up on the mountains, so it's kind of sad not having it right now.
Snowplows travel up I-90, preparing for an expected 10 to 15 inches of snow at Snoqualmie Pass. The mix of wintry conditions and wind prompting a rare blizzard warning, likely unsafe for many drivers to be on the road.
We're prepared. I got good tires and good chains and four-wheel drive, so not too worried about it.
Local businesses like this coffee shop spent the day with a closed door and their lights off, all while mountain travelers, including the smallest of passengers, patiently wait for slopes to open.
It varies every year, so just kind of pray that we get better snowpack in the wintertime.
And another atmospheric river will bring heavy rain to the Pacific Northwest today, but this time the focus will be on Portland and Willamette Valley in Oregon, and that could bring more flooding and landslides. Up to 4 inches of rain could fall by tomorrow night. People across the region are filling sandbags and clearing storm drains. They don't want to see flooding like their northern neighbor had over the past week. One Washington community is worried because flooding shut down a 50-mile stretch of the main road into town. And as Jeremy Harris explains, it could stay that way for months.
In the mountain town of Skykomish, reality is settling in that this may be a long and difficult winter.
It's going to be hard for the next couple months.
Mo Ainsley owns Sky River Coffee, which is running on generator power for now.
I think the uncertainty is probably where we're all sitting at the very moment. We're used to the dark, but it's not knowing what's going to happen next.
The river rose to extreme heights, and while the town stayed intact, the same couldn't be said for the highway uphill. Normally this time of year, US 2 would be bustling with traffic, but now you're met with road close signs here just east of Skykomish. State officials now estimating it could take months to repair the road.
When we had a conversation about Highway 2 a couple days ago, and I was like, guys, it can't be months, like, come on. And they started showing me photographs and some video. Look, I don't think you got to be some engineer to understand that's going to take some time.
And in that time, the ski and tourism economy could take a big hit.
This is one of their money seasons. Skiers should be passing by, buying sandwiches, buying coffee every single day from this point on. And it's just obviously not going to happen.
Yeah, now it's just, wait, we're here and it's going to be till like February.
Franny Sweeters is keeping the spirits flowing at the Whistling Post in Skykomish.
What's Stevens Pass going to do? How are people going to get to the mountain?
While the town is still accessible from the west, everyone here knows they will take a major economic hit for as long as the road is closed.
Yeah, don't forget about Skykomish. We're still here. You can still get to us. You just can't get to Stevens, but yeah, come visit.
2 levees in the Seattle area broke this week, raising questions about whether other barriers could fall as well. As Chris Daniels reports, inspectors are now checking for damage.
Kent's signature point is a signature example of the threat from a failed levee.
There's a ton of people that live in here, yeah.
The Green River surrounds this peninsula full of apartments on 3 sides.
It's really high.
Craig Sepich calls it home. Is it anything you ever thought about, like the strength of levees keeping out water?
No, hadn't crossed my mind, because I used to live up on the hill, so it's something I never had to worry about until I got down here.
Now, is it something you think about?
Oh, yes. Definitely keep my eyes on it in the future going forward.
And so is the King County Department of Natural Resources and Parks. The DNR says multiple spots on the Green, White, and Cedar rivers are what they're calling levees of concern, given the amount of force from the floodwaters this past week. Do you know what the inspection records were on some of these levees, or when they were last inspected by these people who are responsible for it?
I would have to get back to you on that one.
We did see engineers on a Kent flood patrol on the Green River, but no active work repairing the barriers nearby. The flash floods in both Tukwila and Pacific happened as crews were attempting to patch a potential breach. Washington Governor Bob Ferguson says he is getting daily updates on the system.
And I'm deeply worried, about the state of our infrastructure right now while we see the water levels that we're seeing.
Well, several climate-related stories are making news this Thursday. First, the Trump administration plans to dismantle one of the world's leading earth science research institutes. The director of the Office of Management and Budget calls the National Center for Atmospheric Research in Boulder, Colorado, one of the largest sources of climate alarmism in the country. The center has been at the forefront of earth and atmospheric research. Supporters of the center say the move would be a major loss for scientific research. And NOAA's 20th annual report card on the Arctic found the warmest surface temperatures since 1900. The last 10 years are the 10 warmest there, as the annual temperature is increasing at more than double the global rate. Winter sea ice reached some of the lowest levels in history, and glaciers experienced the largest annual net loss of ice on record. One of their report's authors said the team did not receive any political interference with this research. And coming up on the National Weather Desk, how running gear companies are working to help athletes in all weather conditions while also protecting the environment at the same time. And we'll look back at the lasting impact of a devastating tornado that happened 28 years ago this week.
I'm meteorologist Charlie Lopresti with a look at the Northeast. It's a nice looking day on tap in the Northeast today. We'll see a lot of sunshine and warmer temps. Most areas will top out in the 40s and low 50s. That will quickly change on Friday, though. Fridays are wet, windy, and warm day. Our strongest winds will be near the coastline. This is 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Notice a lot of rainfall. Most areas get a ½ inch to an inch. Notice we're flipping over to snow back into the Adirondacks and western New York. Colder air will win out once again on Saturday.
I'm Chief Meteorologist Gerard Jabali. Here's a look at the Mid-Atlantic region. Seeing a disturbance approaching. Your Thursday will start out dry, but we'll likely see rain pushing into the area, especially in the afternoon and evening hours. That will linger through Friday morning, but finally drying out late Friday afternoon. Getting much colder behind the system with some very gusty winds. Thursday, we'll likely see temperatures still reaching the 40s to 50s, possibly even warmer than that further south, but we'll continue to see that colder air pushing in, so we'll be warmer in the morning, colder in the afternoon on Friday.
Hi, meteorologist Jennifer Collins with a look at your southeast forecast. We're watching as a frontal system moves across the southeast, heading through the rest of the week. This washer and dryer air heading into both Friday and Saturday, but ahead of the front, we're looking at the chance for scattered showers and thunderstorms for most of the southeast. By Friday morning, this front moves off the Carolina coastline, allowing for high pressure to build in behind it, ushering in drier air for the start of the weekend, too. A look at afternoon highs returning to the 50s and 60s across the inland Carolinas and into the low 80s for most of South Florida.
I'm Kason Frericks, meteorologist at Iowa's News Now in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. You are watching the National Weather Desk.
A quarter century ago this week, a large tornado tore through central Alabama. 11 people were killed and more than 100 were hurt. The incident reshaped storm response across that state. Faye Fox looks back at that harrowing day.
This general direction basically close to this tower camera location. Now,
25 years ago, a powerful F4 tornado tore through Tuscaloosa County, changing lives, neighborhoods, and the way this community thinks about severe weather. North Star EMS Director Edgar Calloway shares his experience on that day.
They obviously called me, so I got in the car and drove from Selma back to Tuscaloosa, got here and ended up working another 6 or 7 hours at the tornado site.
The tornado ripped through places like Interstate 20 exit 77 and Bear Creek Road, leaving widespread damage and claiming 11 lives.
First of all, it was very close to my house at the time, and it went across and it went through a trailer park on Bear Creek Road, Bear Creek Cutoff Road back in there. Really did significant damage.
Calloway shares remembering this storm matters because this lesson learned helped shape stronger warning systems, faster communication, and a community more prepared for the next threat.
You remember it because of the people whose lives were impacted. Then kind of long term, you want to be better because of a bad situation.
The December 16, 2000 tornado killed 11 people and injured more than 140, cutting an 18-mile path across Tuscaloosa County. It remains one of the strongest tornadoes to hit the county since 1950.
We know that in order for snow to fall, temperatures need to be low. But did you know that the snow itself can cause temperatures to fall? It has something to do with albedo. Meteorologist Brandon Stover and Dante Ricky explain.
Sometimes there's a word that pops up that we like to use when you have snow on the ground and the sun coming out, and that's called albedo.
Yes, and basically there's always emitted radiation that goes back in the atmosphere. The ground absorbs some of that and warms the air. The thing is, though, the albedo is how much light a surface reflects. So objects that have higher albedos reflect more, and objects that have lower albedos absorb more rather than reflect it. For example, grass might absorb more, astroturf might absorb more, snow coverage on the ground will reflect more, and in turn, that causes some unique climate feedback.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And one of the ways that the atmosphere heats up is due to the low albedo of the rocky surfaces, the grassy surfaces. That absorbs more heat energy and releases it, and the atmosphere actually heats from ground up. And that's one of the fascinating mechanisms in which the atmosphere warms. But at nighttime, especially, when you have that snowpack, certainly a lot of reflectivity during the day. You get a lot of reflection off of the snow, so you don't absorb as much heat, and as a result, it gets a lot colder.
Here's your key notes on albedo and some important key facts that can happen in our weather pattern as larger temperature gradients influence our precipitation cycle.
Yeah, the bright colors are going to reflect more, the dark colors are going to absorb more, and that can lead to those big temperature gradients and evaporation rates. That can influence precipitation also, especially when you have a sharp change in albedo from one place to the next.
Hope you learned something good on the National Weather Desk.
Well, if you find yourself more grouchy during winter, science can back you up. Medical reporter Liz Bonas shares what's behind the winter misery.
You see, when the weather outside is frightful,
it's crazy how fast even so cold and it's windy and like so cold.
We don't feel so delightful because, as Rohan Nengal knows, everything is simply harder.
It's so hard to even drive right now because of the roads skidding a lot or cars are like falling apart.
And as the outdoor misery mounts, a separate NIH study found we had indoors.
I just try to stay at home, or like when I go home, I try to like car warm because it's really hard to like travel anywhere right now.
Where we spend more time online in colder weather. Our tweets, researchers found, get nastier, and our melatonin changes from screen time. Dr. Karthikeyan Kanakarajan told me that messes with sleep.
The blue light from the screen, our smart TV, the phone, computers, it's gonna get your melatonin level down.
And no sleep really makes you grouchy. Add that to shorter days in winter.
Our circadian rhythm is driven by sunlight.
And without sunlight, we get moody and depressed. What to do? Well, there's no magic formula for winter survival, but upping the fun, staying active, and a little pampering can help.
As the popularity of running continues to grow, companies are producing more shoes and clothing to keep up with demand, but that can be bad news for the environment. Meteorologist Chicago Windler is in San Antonio, Texas to find out how brands are working to reduce that impact.
Did you know every pair of shoes can generate about 14 kilograms of CO2? And it can take between 30 to 40 plus years for these shoes to decompose. But here at the running event, retailers, brands, and runners are all doing what they can to be more sustainable.
The great thing about the running industry is it sits at the intersection of community, performance, and consumption.
An MIT study found the carbon dioxide emissions of a typical pair of running shoes is equivalent to keeping a 100-watt light bulb on for a week. And according to World Footwear Yearbook, 24 billion pairs of shoes were produced globally last year. Enter companies like Sneakers for Good.
Runners are finished with their running shoes at 300 to 400 miles, and those same running shoes can go on and be reused in developing countries like Haiti.
From reusing shoes to producing them with recycled materials.
As athletes, we go through so many pairs of shoes in training and racing.
Meg Eckert is a world record ultra marathoner for Mount to Coast.
The H1s that we're talking about, they have the circle cell, and you can see the backdrop behind me where they're using these reusable materials, but you're also having a shoe that's going to last 600, 700, 800 miles.
Kiprun is a French company launching this spring.
I think it's the most strong point of our brand.
Through the use of bio-based materials like rice husks.
Kiprun Max, which is made on the upper with 98% of recycled PET, and also based on 25% of silica base from rice husk on the outsole.
Sustainability is at the heart of YY Nation.
This is an incredible invention. It's made from algae, not plastic, and it's just soft, lightweight. It's a foam. slide with an arch support.
Dakota Jones is a pro athlete with Normal.
Trail runners are on the front lines every day of environmental issues, whether it's like flooding or fires or droughts or climate change. And so we have a really strong incentive to protect the places where we play. And that goes into the DNA of everything that Normal does.
Brands recognize it's their responsibility to reduce, reuse, and recycle, and you can expect more products to launch with this in mind. At the running event in San Antonio, I'm Chicago Windler for the National Weather Desk.
And time now for a short break, but first we soar over holiday lights display in Chickasha, Oklahoma.
Good Thursday morning, everyone. I'm meteorologist Andrew Buck-Michael. Rain's moving its way across the Midwest today. Behind it, some snow showers and much colder. Look at some of these high temperatures tomorrow behind that rain. We're going to deal with some cold air moving its way into the Ohio Valley and Great Lakes for your Friday. Most of the Midwest looks pretty good for any traveling you might have on Saturday. We do have a little bit of snow up in Wisconsin and the UP.
Good morning, I'm meteorologist Alex Garcia. Here's a look at your regional weather. We're looking 40s this morning from Amarillo back over into El Paso, 60s. Very warm, humid, cloudy all the way down across South Texas. Cold front will be pushing through the area today, bringing windy conditions and dry air and, yes, a little bit of cool air as well. I'm meteorologist Alex Garcia, and that's a look at your regional weather.
Well, hi there and a good Thursday morning to everybody. I'm meteorologist Shannon O'Donnell. Out west, the sunshine and warmth continue in the deserts. We've got highs close to 80 in Chandler and Gilbert, Arizona today, and still warm, too warm out of Portland. The latest west coast atmospheric river steering into the Willamette Valley for some river flooding and some wind issues there. Also looking windy but snowy and cold over the Continental Divide. And that's the scene from here.
You are watching the National Weather Desk.
We just talked about a lot about snow, ice, and cold, but using small space heaters to stay warm in the winter can be dangerous as well. Alex Guyovich Protich tells us how to be safe with portable home heaters.
Electrician Nate Thomason says one way to keep your energy bill costs down is to open all the doors in your house, keep garage doors and exterior doors closed, and even opening the drapes when it's cold outside. When it comes to electrical heaters, he strongly suggests plugging them into an outlet, not an extension cord. He also says they need an adequate amount of space so that there's less chance of a fire hazard. I spoke to the store manager at Elder's Ace Hardware, and he says between the last 2 days, they've sold between 50 and 60 heaters.
You also want to inspect your heater before use each time. And if you leave the room, you really don't want to keep it connected or on. And be sure to make sure what you're using is indoor appropriate. Whether it's the hoses or the kerosene you're using, you want to make sure it's for indoor use.
We love to share your weather content on the air. You can find us on all your favorite social media platforms. Just search the National Weather Desk. We'll be right back. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Angela Brown. Make it a great day, and we'll see you right back here tomorrow.